Welcome to Closet Cosplay, the podcast where we help you create con-worthy cosplays on a closet budget. I'm LJ.
And I'm Michelle, and today on the podcast, we are going to talk about Renaissance festivals and costuming for them and what we love about them. And we're mourning the fact that we haven't gotten to go to a Ren fair this year because of obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons. That's the thing is we had a whole thing we were gonna do for Renaissance Fair. You don't even understand. My bachelorette party was gonna be at medieval times. We were gonna take pictures. That got postponed. We were gonna go to another Ren fair, do all sorts of stuff. So instead, we're going to talk about what we would have done or what we would have or what we would do and a little bit about Renaissance fairs in general.
If our circumstances had been different.
If our circumstances had been different.
So, what is medieval times and what were you planning to wear as the star of the show?
So I was going to do, medieval times, for those of you who do not know, it is a chain. I don't know how many there are. There's a few, but basically what it is it is an arena. And the arena is divided into 4 groups, and it is set around the idea of a medieval joust. And it's like, I don't remember, there's usually like a storyline involved at some point, but whatever section you are assigned to, so there's like a blue, a yellow, a red, and a green, that's who you cheer for, which is fun because then you get to like scream at people and cheer for people. But the idea is that it's all sort of in character. It's very much like now the guests don't necessarily have to be in character, but a lot of people will do that. And you get fed food and drink, and you sit there and you watch these jousts and flashy fake sword fights. And there was a falconer at one that I went to that flew around the arena. It was really, really cool. It's a lot of fun if you enjoy things like Ren Fair. And I was planning to do like this whole like white Romeo Juliet sort of like, because it was going to be my bachelorette party, and I had this dress from this designer, and it was sad times. It was sad times. That dress will get reused though for my small wedding so it's not such a bad thing, and we'll get to do it next time.
Yeah. Things. Yay for your wedding this weekend. Oh, yes. I'm so happy for you.
I'm technically going to be no longer LJ Libke after this weekend. I will be LJ Blankenship.
Ooh,
I know. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the idea of Renaissance fairs. One of the medieval times was my very first experience with the idea of kind of what a Renaissance fair is, right? Like you've got the jousting and the actors and the in character and you're dressed up. And I went, and it was years ago, and I was just like, this is before I did LARP. This is really before I did cosplay. This is before I did anything. And I was just like, this is my jam. And I'm sure a lot of people who have been to medieval times will make fun of me for that because it is so like, it's definitely touristy, but I absolutely loved it.
You found your people.
Yeah, no, I'd figured it out. I was like, oh, this I like. And so after that, I started getting really interested in Renaissance fairs and wanting to do one, and I got really fortunate. Arkansas is not great about that stuff, and we've never had one before. Well, last year we had our first ever, which Michelle got to come to me with.
Like your first ever Renaissance festivals.
It was the first one, and I dressed up as. The thing is so with a medieval or a Renaissance fair, you immediately obviously think of things like knights and Queen Victoria, because you said it was primarily based around like the reign of Queen Victoria.
So I think it's Queen Elizabeth.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Elizabeth the First was like the Renaissance period. So I guess it's kind of like the start of the English Renaissance. And so most of the times when you walk into a Renaissance festival, in my experience, and I have only been to 5 Renaissance festivals, and many of them were like at the same location.
Yeah.
I know so many people that have been to just like the tour of Renaissance festivals around the country. I'd love to do that, to go to
that sounds fun.
Just like all the ones. That would be awesome. But they kind of set them up like an English village. So they'll usually use the town name of wherever the Ren Fair is being held, and they'll kind of rename it to be like the Shire of Shelby or something.
Oh.
You know, they'll like have their name of their village. And I always thought that was so cute. Like they I always love to get to the Ren Fairs first thing. My husband is drove nuts because I'm like, we have to be there for the announcements. Like, we have to be there for when they open it. And he's like, no, we don't. We can get there later. I'm like, yes, we do.
No, we have to be there.
It's important because I really love standing in line and the whole like Queen's Court cast. So they either are already there or they'll walk in. So you'll have like the knights in front announcing the queen, and they'll be like, make way, my lords and ladies, the queen, you know.
It's so much fun.
It's just such a grand entrance, and it's such a grand introduction that you just don't get to experience every day. And it makes you feel some kind of way, you know, and it's like that sets you up for all day. Anytime you hear that, make way, you know the queen's coming. So you get this attitude of like, oh, the queen, you know.
Must have deference, and yeah.
And, you know, a reverence to the queen, and the like knowing of, you know, how powerful she is. And when she walks around, she has like an ambiance about her and a kind of posse with her that always travel with her and always look so polished and poised. And it's just such a fun thing to experience, to see, you know, that start of the festival. And then especially if you stay to the end and get to see the final parade or the final ceremony or whatever it is, it's just
the grand promenade or whatever it is.
The opening, and you got to be there for the closing, and you got to experience all the, you know, good stuff in the middle. And it just is such a good day. Any day I get to go to Ren Fair is such a good day.
Yeah, no, and you know, the Ren Fair in Arkansas, it was their first one. They did their best. They definitely had some room for improvement, but like, I really want to go to one that is a little bit more involved. And some people may be wondering, you know, like, this is technically a cosplay podcast, and Renaissance fairs technically aren't cosplay, but they are definitely adjacent and part of the idea, in my opinion. Like, and if you enjoy, it's not super common at conventions to be in character, and Renaissance fair, when you show up, it's almost kind of expected that you are in character. So if you've ever wanted to like dip your toe into what amounts to role playing in a very casual, safe sort of environment with a very, you know, whatever goes, you know, you want to be, and you don't even have to just like be a villager or, you know, something like a lord or a lady. Like, one of the interesting things about Renaissance festivals over time is they've evolved from just being strictly that English sort of village to being like, well, we incorporate fantasy stuff into it. So you'll see people in like fairy costumes or elf costumes, and that's what I did. I did a fairy this year, and I made my own fairy wings, and I will definitely, those pictures are out there, and I'll post them again. They were a lot of work. I enjoyed my outfit. I got a lot of pictures. Actually, we all got our pictures. There's a picture of me, Michelle, and Katie and Vince, and we're all dressed up, and the newspaper took our picture. And
the newspaper, that was so wild.
Yeah, they were in the newspaper gallery, and for that, so it was, and he dressed up, my fiance dressed up as a satyr, so it's another fantasy. So we went like kind of like, because they actually had like an elven court at this one, so we went like more fantasy. So if you want to do something that's like even more fantastical, and that you might have stuff already from other cosplays that you've worn to conventions, you can incorporate it. Pirates is another theme. In fact, I think there's
a pirate this year.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
Yes.
But there's like a Renaissance like fair down in Texas that I think like every month or something they do a different theme. So they do like fantasy theme, or they do pirate theme, and like they do the whole thing is themed that way, and I think that's super cool. I would love to go to one of those one day.
We need to make that trek when we can.
When everything's over, yeah, that would be super fun. In fact, maybe we can schedule that around bachelorette party. I don't know.
Hey.
Do it all at the same time. It's still in Texas.
There you go.
Just saying. Texas apparently has a thing about renn faire for some reason.
Just all like we'll do a renn faire road trip.
Oh my gosh.
Party.
That sounds like so much fun. And so, but that's the thing is like any amount of, and you don't have to try hard when it comes to Renaissance fairs either. Like literally a long skirt and a blouse and a belt.
Blouse and a belt. And yeah, you're good.
Flower crown.
Yeah.
But they even sell them there if you want them.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Another thing I love about renn fairs is you have these stalls, these vendors, these, sellers out there. And I mean, you could just find anything you wanted costume wise to make like the perfect renn faire get up, whether that be like a long skirt, short skirt, the billowy tops, the corsets. I mean, that's
they got corsets
basic
for days.
Yeah, basic like renn faire outfit would just be a long skirt and a billowy shirt to me, and you'd have it. And that's typically what I wear to renn fairs, especially if it's super hot and like the heat of summer, is I'll just have like my long skirts that aren't super heavy and then just a billowy kind of off the shoulder white top, and you'll still get called a lady walking around. Like they're gonna know what you're going for.
And they're into it. It's great.
Yeah, and it's great. And that's the fun of it. It's like you can go that simple, or I've seen people get the long skirts and then layer on all these other skirts and all these different colors, and they'll have like the belly dancer like belt, jingles,
yeah,
the cute skirts and the corsets and like the scarves, and they've got a scarf around their head, or they've got a flower crown and braids, and it's just like you can go whatever level of extra. And
just only warning with the extra thing, and I experienced this, is if you go very extra, you might get mistaken for staff. That happened to me a couple times, and it's not a big deal. You're just like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't work here. But you can usually point at somebody who does. But that is my only warning about going extra, is you might be too good.
They might be like, hey, can you tell me where the turkey legs are? And you're like, well, if you're lucky, you could say, oh, I just passed them there that way.
Yeah.
No, but that kind gentleman over there can help you.
I had so many little kids walk up to me and be like, are you a real fairy? And like give me little gold coins. It was so cute. I loved it. I was just But one thing I wanted to mention is people who, so my fiance is not a cosplayer or anything like that. And so when we were first discussing this, I was like, I want you to dress up with me. And at first I was going to be like, be a fairy with me. He's like, I'm not being a fairy. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm like, okay, be a satyr. And so I was like, listen, we'll do it real simple. I found him just like a brown shirt. I found him some brown pants. And then they had like these little covers, like slip-on, that like go over your shoes that have, and you can get it on Amazon. They're like $12, and they look like little hooves, and they just slip on over your feet, right? And so we did that, and little horns. And eventually, like as he was doing it, he was like, well, I want to like scarf, and I need a goat's horn drink thing. And he started, and now I need a pan flute. And so he started getting a little bit extra. So you might be surprised, like people who are reticent about this idea actually kind of get into it. And the picture that Vince took for the newspaper, he's going for it. Like he's like putting on a pose and everything. Right. But so like, that's what I'm saying, is you can actually take something that's a very simple, basic ideas. And that's something that we talk about a lot on this podcast, of like, you want to hit the highlights. So when you talk about a satyr, what do you think about? You think about the horns, you think about them being brown, think about them being furry, you think about them being having hooves. And we hit all those pretty easily and pretty cheaply, and that's honestly, like, besides the hooves, you could just wear black shoes. Like, there's always something simple you can do.
Well, and a lot of advice I got about from the costume vendors, when I was talking about, well, how do I build, if I'm trying to get a Renaissance outfit, that looks as amazing as a lot of these staff or as a lot of the, people that run the booths. Like, how do you do that? Did you buy all this at once? Did you build this over years? Like, how did you, get to this look? And they would say, well, at this Ren Fair, I bought this one skirt and then I added it on. And then, I used my simple belt for years. And then finally, like, there was a year that I bought, the sling belt that has like all the potion attachments, but I buy one potion bottle here.
And I love those belts.
There, one accessory. And it's like, they would have like a base outfit that would be like the skirts and the shirt. And then if they tossed a couple accessories on, they would be an elf. They'd switch out the accessories and it'd be a pirate. They'd switch out the accessories and it'd be a wizard or a fairy or a whatever. But they had this, kind of base undergarment type look. And they have those like Renaissance dresses that really you would just put a corset over or add whatever accessory you'd want onto it.
Yeah.
And it gives it this different look, this different feel. So I think a lot of Ren Fair, to me, like the difference between a pirate, a fairy, and a villager is the accessories of it. So it's like, get a nice base garment, like a base thing you'd want to go for. And then what are you feeling that day? Put some elf ears on or put a pirate hat on, and there you go.
It's really that simple and that easy. And that's why it was so easy to like upgrade what he was doing, because I was like, I got you base stuff, brown shirt, brown pants, this, that, And so one thing I wanted to mention that's off topic, but I want to talk about it before I forget, is we've talked about the things that we expect to see at Renaissance fairs that you would expect to be there and expect to belong there. But there's some other things that I've seen that are very interesting to me and I found very amusing. One was medieval versions of typical convention characters. So at the Arkansas Renaissance Fair, I saw this amazing, it's a Batman, but done as an actual like knight. It was the Dark Knight. And I saw a Wonder Woman who was done as like an Elizabethan, this gorgeous, beautiful, like brocade dress, Elizabethan Renaissance dress, but it was done Wonder Woman colors. So it's supposed to be Batman and Wonder Woman. I was like, that's such a cool idea. And I really wish I'd gotten pictures of them, but it was very, very, very cool.
And that's the other really neat thing about that Ren Fair style. If you can just see that and then have that creativity to take a character you love and just do it in that style. I really love to see the creativity people come up with taking classic characters. A lot of Disney princesses, it's like they'll take the Disney princess concept and do it Star Wars, or they'll take it and do it Ren Fair, or they'll take it and
Ren Fair's a great opportunity to do that. Take a character you love already cosplaying and go, what would they look like in Renaissance time?
Yeah. I think it's so interesting. I mean, take your favorite character and turn them into a mermaid. It's so cool. That's another thing. Mermaids are at Ren Fairs.
Mermaids are at Ren Fairs. And it was so funny. I actually know the person who runs the mermaid thing, apparently. Totally unrelated. It's just, but I saw her, I was like, she looked at me because I had passed her a couple times. I wasn't trying to interrupt her while she was working. She was like, LJ, and I'm like, Ilya! So I was like, oh my god! It's so funny how your friends groups, like, you go apart and then you come back together in like the weirdest ways. One of the other things that I've loved to see at Ren Fairs is Star Trek characters.
Oh, yes. I love that. When you see little girls walk around as Rey, like, my heart just melts. Like, I can't deal with that. So much.
Yeah, it's really cute. But the Star Trek thing is so funny to me because I watched Star Trek Next Generation growing up, and you would always
Star Wars. Sorry, I heard.
Yeah. You're okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Well, I'll forgive it because it's got the Star Wars. But yeah, so like in the episodes of Star Trek, they would go around to like different cultures, and sometimes they would go back in time, or not go back in time, but like these. So like you'll see these people who have Star Trek outfits, and they'll be wandering around kind of in character, like they're in an episode, like looking at the culture and stuff. So it's like, hey, if you already have a Star Trek cosplay, you're actually set for a Renaissance festival. Like, it's pretty surprising the kind of costume culture that has evolved with Renaissance fairs. And that's kind of why we wanted to like gloss over, not gloss over, but touch on. There's so many topics of, you can do something very expected to something as crazy as show up as a Star Trek character, like, and it'll all work. And eventually,
it's such a melting pot of costumes that you could wear just about anything and people would love it.
Yeah, and they'll interact with you too. That's the funny part. That's one of the things, again, that I got out of medieval times. It wasn't just me showing up to a convention in a cosplay and being me. It was, that live action role play that obviously I'm a LARPer, so that's what I'm going to be talking. I'm going to enjoy that anyway, but I didn't know that's what I would enjoy. And don't feel pressured. If you're not into that either, you don't have to. You can just curtsy or
and walk around and do your thing and enjoy it. Eat a turkey leg. Chill out.
And they're usually pretty good about knowing, the cast members are pretty good at eyeing like who's going to be receptive to this and who's not. Like, especially like if you're not in some full-fledged outfit, they're not going to like try to engage you to the nth degree. They're going to and if you don't respond, they're fine. But they're actors. You're in an immersive you are in an immersive interactive experience. And
they know how to deal with that. And that's the really cool thing about renn fairs. Whether you awkwardly respond or don't respond or respond enthusiastically, they're going to be able to come back with something because
they're all usually good at improv.
Incredible improv. If you want to see some awesome improv in action, go to a Renaissance festival.
Yeah,
it's really cool to watch.
I'm super excited to actually start going to more. I definitely encourage anyone to check out where the closest one is. They're not super common in most of the Southeast from my experience. Like I said, Texas is kind of the outlier. They're usually north of the Mason-Dixon line as far as my experience, which is why I'd never gotten to go to one before. But I definitely, Arkansas is going to have a second one, and I'm going to go support them. I think they're doing it in November, though. I think it got backed up to November.
I haven't looked at the Tennessee Renaissance Festival and if they are planning to reschedule or not. But let me go ahead and plug them. That is the one I've been to twice now. We did have one in Memphis a couple times, but I think it has since been canceled. And I don't think they even do it anymore. But the one in Tennessee is so well done. They've been doing it for, I don't even know how many years now. It's pretty well established. They actually have castle tours there, so you can actually go tour a guy's castle. He lives there. It's really neat. He tells the story of it every time, and you get to go walk through his castle.
Funny.
They have juggling shows, magic shows all throughout the day, and they do weekends, so you could really go spend a whole weekend at Renn Fair. And they do kind of themed days. They'll have like the pirates and the fairies and all of that. They do a joust all throughout the day. They had a falconer one year, like you were talking about, at medieval times, which is such a cool show to watch. You just think, wow,
so
the
cool.
training it takes to get these birds to do these things. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really neat.
It just feels so magical. And if you ever get the chance to go, absolutely just take the chance. For sure.
Yeah. And if you do, take pictures.
Right.
Show us. Because we want to see.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some pictures up for you guys soon. We have been kind of dropping the ball on pictures because we've been comfortable in our working from home and staying at home, and we haven't seen each other in person in a while.
It's been a hot minute. It's my birthday, actually.
Yeah, it was
my birthday.
It's been a while for us. So.
Well, what I try to tell people, if you're feeling a little demotivated during a global pandemic when you literally can't do anything, but that's understandable. And right. I'm sure I'm not the only one who suffered from it. My grandmother called her on Mother's Day and she was like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm like, Gam, it's a global pandemic. It's okay to
Right.
be down a little bit. Like,
Right.
that's totally reasonable. Like,
To just not have that motivation. I'm motivated by people, and the lack of people in my life
oh my
since all this has
gosh.
started, I'm just like, oh, it's
You've
it's hard.
definitely been in my thoughts about it because I'm like, Michelle is one of the most extroverted people I know. And I know she wants people over at her house. She likes
Right.
company. Like,
Right.
it must be killing you. So hopefully
Yeah.
things will start opening up again soon, and we can see each other, and we can go to conventions again, and we can
We
go
can
to
get
Renaissance.
pictures
We
out.
can do pictures. We're gonna be hitting a lot of social media here pretty promptly as soon as things are kind of cleared. I would expect within at least the next month things to not, or at least going to be still doing our episodes, but within the next month you should start seeing a lot more visual medium. In fact, we also, while this isn't visual, it is on a visual platform. Michelle has done a wonderful job and gotten our episodes up on YouTube, I believe.
Yay. You're on
Yay!
YouTube.
We're on
And
YouTube.
if you are not part of our Facebook group, I have shared the YouTube link on Facebook. However, if you are not part of that and you are having trouble finding us on YouTube, you can shoot us an email, send us a message, somehow reach out, contact us, and we can get you that link, show you where that's at, show you where to find us. And maybe if we can record in person soon enough, you'll get blooper reels and some actual video footage of us recording the podcast for you guys. So
I feel like I should have almost been recording this because Poppy's just been going crazy in the background.
see LJ's cats running around.
It's just being wild. Yeah, but we'll soon be back on a normal schedule, and we'll be back helping people create actual cosplay so they can go places.
There you go.
But always, check the show notes and the link. Check our Instagram. Check our Facebook. Check all that good stuff. We'll be posting up some pictures here pretty soon. You'll get those notifications. And I hope everybody's staying safe and continues to stay safe because I want to get out there and do some cosplays.
Exactly. Stay healthy, everybody. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. And we will hang out next time.
We will do that. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.